recording now. So, how about we first talk about the lecture, and then move on to talk about the elections material, because we didn't get to it on Tuesday. Sound like a good plan?
Yeah.
Great. So, what was the current event that the professor brought up?
Sorry, what was the what?
What was the current event that the professor brought up?
On Tuesday?
His lecture, yeah.
It was the emails.
Yeah. So, it was the emails. What about the emails? What's going on with emails?
The FBI is reopening the case, to go over it. I don't know.
Yeah, go over Clinton's emails when she was Secretary of the State.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the issue with that? Why is that relevant?
It's relevant because there's supposed to be a 60-day policy that basically allows the candidate to recover from the the thing that happened, but they didn't really give her 60 days. They were probably
a week.
8 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, essentially she has a week to recover. When Trump, with the release of that video, he has had plenty of time to recover and get back people that might have gone initially but are now swayed back to Trump, his holy light, or whatever that is that attracts them to him. I don't know what it is. Still trying to figure that out. Sorry, that's editorial. Keep that in. But yeah, and so what do you think about them opening up the investigation again so early? It's so close to November 8th. Do you think that is wrong of them, or do you think that they should continue with their investigation?
I think it's kind of wrong because it's I don't know, I kind of think that maybe the people who open the case might be biased, maybe, and want her to lose, maybe, because, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that, they should, I guess, continue with it, because it's, not gonna, the results aren't gonna, they're not gonna be available by the election.
Yeah.
So, if you stop now, then it'd make no sense. But it just, why did they open it up right before the election? They could have waited till afterwards.
And a really big issue was that the FBI director went out and said, "Hey, we're restarting this investigation." If he hadn't said that, the public wouldn't have known unless a journalist went out and found that information through insider knowledge. So in many cases, they could have done the investigation quietly and then released the results after the election when they actually can get them, rather than just put they kind of just put a little dark cloud over Hillary's campaign by doing this and everything. Much like the Trump video put a dark cloud over his campaign, but he was able to, the sun has come out for Trump. But we'll see if the sun will come out for Hillary in November 8th. And I think when I came in, I heard the tail end of they brought up the discussion between Gingrich and Kelly again.
Yeah.
Okay. And so was that just to follow up on AJ's thoughts of the issue?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys want to talk about it anymore, or?
I don't know.
So what were your guys' impressions of the video?
I thought they were both kind of having their own issues. I know more people were hating on Gingrich, but I don't know. Megyn Kelly was kind of feisty too, so I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, Elizabeth?
The same, but I actually like how she presented herself better.
Mm-hmm.
Like she hold herself like, and like how he was explaining how with Trump and Clinton when they did the debate, he was like calling her stuff, and then she was like holding herself good. I like that.
Yeah. Because it seems like, oh, you can hold your composure. You're not like,
you don't just explode and be like, no, you or something.
yeah. Because, I mean, that's kind of what Trump is famous for, is just his little outbursts. Like, I mean, if I was like his publicist, I would take Twitter away from him. Because that, whatever he says on there is just, yeah. But, yeah, and then, I don't know, what do you guys, just speaking as women, do you think we're kind of expected to be that way in the face of men like that?
Like composed?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. The second that you let out any aggression or anger, people view it so negatively. It's definitely unfair because guys can be angry all the time and no one cares. So.
Yeah. It's like, oh, she's being a bossy bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, she's on her period.
That's my favorite one right there.
Oh, she's PMSing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were worried about Clinton being having PMS outbursts and stuff like that as president and not being able to control herself. What about a man who gets set off by a tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a little bit more emotional than Miss Clinton.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think really both the debate and that video that the professor showed really highlighted the sexism that is present in this campaign.
Yeah. I mean, like, just, like, watching both, like, the video between Gingrich and Megyn Kelly and then, like, Trump and Clinton, it kind of, like, makes me wonder if, like, the men are kind of, like, scared of women being in power. Because, like, both those women are, like, kind of, like, in high-powered positions. And, like, I don't know, it just makes me, like, kind of question that, so.
Yeah. What do you girls think?
I agree with that. I think guys feel like they lose their masculinity and their power if there's a woman that's like telling them what to do.
Do you guys think this is kind of similar to like the amount of racism that we've seen lately? Like there's kind of like a fear of people of color gaining power and position.
I mean, that's even because I'm taking Government 165 and we're talking about politics of underrepresented, and that's exactly what was the issue. That's why they weren't like, America used to be so racist against Asian people, against Black people, because they didn't want them taking their jobs and having a status.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where like Trump is getting a lot of his support, is from people that are afraid that, oh, well, if they actually get in power, what are they going to do to us?
Mm-hmm.
Even though, and that's because when they were in power, they did bad things to the people that they were in charge of. Maybe the people of color will actually say, hey, we're going to be the better person. And I mean, personally, I think both women and people of color will be the better people and rise above, mostly because we're expected to. Yeah. And that's the only way that we can get things done, unfortunately. But I think that does give us more legitimacy. Yeah, so it's kind of just interesting contemporary thoughts, so issues and thoughts to look at and everything. So let's move on. What did we talk about after we finished up the Gingrich-Kelly discussion?
Why parties are weak.
And why was that?
And it was basically, what I wrote down was because of progressive reforms, which are like the neutral ballot, civil service, nonpartisan elections, and party primaries.
Yeah, and so I know he had that list and everything, but he didn't really break them down, did he?
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah, so how about we go through that list and break down why that might make a party weak. So what was the first one?
Neutral ballot.
Mhm. So a neutral ballot would be like the blanket primary that we have in California, where everybody's listed for a position no matter what their party is. The party is like specified, but you just choose one person for that position, no matter their parties, rather than just choosing out of your Democrats and stuff like that. And so by having that, why do you think that might make a party weaker? Because in a sense, you're kind of being given a lot more options.
I know that he said that people will more likely mix and match, so maybe they'll vote for like a president that's Democratic, but then they'll look at like Senate or something like that and vote for someone that's Republican. So if not all of your Democrats are in one section and not all your Republicans are in a different, I think that you're more likely to be like, okay, well, this person has like, I like this about them, so I'm just going to choose them no matter their party. So like one party won't control the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Exactly. It's exactly what Angelina said. So,
And wouldn't that, the blanket, isn't it, isn't the blanket primary like a good thing because it kind of like relates to what we said on Tuesday to like, about like the wolves, like they have to like compete with each other. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And also by doing that, remember talking about party affiliations in general. We remember that most Americans fall in the middle of political parties rather than being on one of the two extremes. And so by kind of having this neutral ballot, you're appealing to more voters than just sticking them into one side or the other. And so what was the second thing that weakens parties?
It was civil service.
And it was nonpartisan civil service, right?
It's just civil service.
Okay, okay. So do you guys know what the civil service is, just in general? So a civil servant is somebody who works for the government, but it's not a public position. So everybody who works for the governor and in the governor's office, they're all civil servants. Technically, the governor is a civil servant as well, but he also holds a public position. So that changes what power he has in comparison to other regular civil servants. And so civil servants you can have any party that you want to be in and stuff like that. And so by having a diverse array of people doing just the regular administrative stuff and everything instead of just making sure, oh, well, if I'm in place, oh, everybody who works under me and everything has to be my same party and everything. Why do you think having a diverse administration civil service is more beneficial than having kind of party unity in your civil service?
Well, you're representing and working for your state, so you can't just have one view and disregard all the other citizens and their wants and needs.
Yeah, especially if you, because a lot of times these civil servants are experts who serve on committees, like a civil engineer will sit on like the transportation committee and stuff like that because they know how much it'll cost to build a bridge, how long it'll take, what the necessary things will be for actually writing out the policy. And so by having a diverse group of people, then you don't get stuck into that, oh, I'm only going to serve this group of people, like Angelina was saying. Yeah, so does that make sense to you guys? All right. What was the third thing, Camille?
It was nonpartisan elections.
Okay. And so nonpartisan elections essentially are very much like blanket primaries and stuff like that. An election is neutral. And so that kind of falls back with the first point that we had talked about. And so was that the last thing, or do we have one more?
One more.
What was that?
It was party primaries.
Okay, party primaries. So why do you think party primaries might weaken a party?
Because for party primaries, like only registered voter, like only like for example, only like a registered Republican can vote in the primary.
Only in closed primaries.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's relevant because there are plenty of states in the U.S. who only have closed primaries. So continue.
Yeah, and so basically like. So even if like, I don't know how to explain it. So if you're like a non-party preference, then you couldn't like be able to like vote for who you want. So.
Yeah, by having a closed primary, you're excluding people, nonpartisan people or third-party people who might help boost your numbers because they like your candidate, but they're not part of the party, so they're being excluded. So yeah, that's.
I think that's what I had. I remember I got a ballot.
Mm-hmm.
I chose non-party, and I didn't have any candidates, and it was really sad.
Yep, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Because I know California has like, I'm pretty sure we're in a blanket primary, but like I know we've like there's been reforms over the years and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's why he didn't have any candidates to choose from.
Yeah, I was really confused.
I have a ballot, but nobody here. Okay, so 623. All right, so then we talked. So we went through that slide, and then did we go on to the inside after that?
No, we still had like a couple more slides.
Okay. What were those about?
So the next one was like civil service, and then it just, the only thing that I wrote down, I don't know if it was the only thing on there, but it said like spoils the system.
Oh, and so that was just talking about how when political parties are in office and have a majority, then they're able to give spoils or give patronage to their the people that have been supporting them.
Also, for civil service, he mentioned the Pendleton Act and the Hatch Act, and honestly, I didn't really understand what those were.
Okay. Yeah. So you didn't write what it said or anything, right?
All I wrote, Pendleton Act, was like based on merit, and I don't really know what that was like towards, like what is based on merit.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, I can't remember those acts specifically, so that's why I'm going to share the screen and we're going to go to Google. It's our friend.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So so established that positions within the federal government should be awarded on the basis of merit instead of political affiliation.
Okay, got
And so that act is to counteract the spoil system.
Mm.
So saying, hey, these positions need to go to people who actually know what they're doing, not just they were part of your party, so you're going to give them the position.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what happened with Andrew Jackson's cabinet that he appointed. He appointed his kitchen cabinet. That was the nickname of his presidential cabinet, and it was full of people that weren't qualified to do the jobs that he appointed them to. But he just gave them to because, oh, yeah, these are my friends. I have them around. They're my advisors. Yeah. Imagine being like, oh, yeah, these are my elementary school buddies. Yeah. So I have pride. Fred only gives peace signs, doesn't talk. Not a good civil servant. All right. And so what was the name of the other act?
The Hatch Act.
Hatch Act of 1939, officially an act to prevent pernicious political activities, is the United States federal law whose main provision prohibits employees in the executive branch of federal government, except the president, vice president, and certain designated high-level officials of that branch from engaging in. Well, cliffhanger, that's how they get you to actually click on it. From engaging in some forms of political activity. And the law was named after Carl Hatch of New Mexico. It was almost recently amended in 2012. Okay. So, you know how people were getting on Obama for going out and speaking against Trump and saying, hey, you should vote for Hillary? Because they were saying, oh, the president needs to be nonpartisan in elections. So actually, he's allowed to. But remember, we just saw that in the act. So the president, the vice president, and certain other people in the executive branch can talk about that. But for the most part, everyone else, they can't take a political position.
See, that's really weird. I was just talking about this literally a couple hours ago with a friend of mine about how Obama endorsed Hillary, and then I was watching a Jimmy Kimmel video on YouTube or something like that, and Obama was talking crap about Trump, and I just thought it was really weird. As a president, I get it, he can do whatever he wants, but I just feel you shouldn't speak on that kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, Obama is creating precedents by doing this, because never before has a lame duck president, that's somebody who can't be running and is almost at the end of his term, speak out against a candidate that's running.
Yeah.
I mean, and I am honestly so conflicted about what I think of him doing this. Because I do think that, for people who are vying for your job, you should kind of remain neutral. But if you are more about, you should stick up for your party and everything, then what he's doing is valid, because she is part of his party, and so it would make sense for the person there to support the party, essentially. But then there's the other view of just Trump is a danger to American democracy. A lot of people have this view, and so the president speaking out this time is the first time that we've needed it. And so that's why it's okay for him to do it. But many would argue that he really should just remain neutral. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I think he should have stayed neutral. It's about being politically correct in this country, and I don't know. Like, once again, he can do whatever he wants, and I understand that Trump is, like, threatening to many people, but I don't know, you're the president.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, like, I think he could have just said, like, oh, maybe just, like, said, oh, you guys should vote Democratic, but, like, don't, like, go on this, like, whole like, rampage, like, about it. But.
Yeah, I think that the second that he started speaking negatively about Trump is when it became an issue. If he just said vote for Hillary, that's fine. But, like, if you go and you say Trump has these issues or whatever, blah, 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 I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, Elizabeth?
I mean, I think they're right, but I mean, I think in this case with Trump, I think it's kind of a good thing that he's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But like they said, he should have just not talked smack about him and just said, "Just vote for Hillary," or the Democrats, like they said. But
Yeah.
to me, I don't see it as wrong because I mean, I think Trump is dope. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for, to share each other's opinions and discuss things. So, thank you. But yeah, so it's kind of just an interesting thing to keep on your mind and talk with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with you guys. It would be okay if he had just been pro-Hillary or just I mean, really, what best would be just pro-Democrats. Second best, pro-Hillary. Worst, talking smack, because that's what he's doing. So.
Yeah.
Oh, this election.
I hate it.
Soon.
Especially, I think this is the first one that I'm actually, like, paying attention to, because when Obama was elected, I was still, like, in high school and I didn't really care, you know? So now that, like, I'm an adult, like, I'm just like, oh, it's politics, like, get out of here. Like, oh, especially this one, I do not like it.
I don't know, like, for me, I mean, like, yeah, the past elections I really didn't pay any attention, but this one, like, the one I'm actually, like, paying attention to it, and I kind of think it's interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't mind to, like, have it keep going. It's entertainment.
Okay, question. Do you think because Hillary and Trump are so polarized, that's what's making it interesting?
Yeah.
It's funny because like we always like criticize the party polarization and everything and how it's tearing the country apart, and then but we're like, oh, we're actually gonna pay attention to this now.
Well, I mean, because it, like, I don't know, like, it just, like, makes it a little bit more interesting in my opinion. But
if
yeah.
people don't disagree, it doesn't make good debates.
Yeah.
They're, like, not gonna fight each other. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot. I mean, I remember back because I remember I watched like the 2008 debate and stuff like that, like the vice presidential and everything. This was like 8th grade, mind you. And I remember watching it and just being like, okay, I can kind of follow where they're going, but at the same time, it sounds like they're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is the first time that it's clear that they're not saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That I feel like their ideologies are very clear, and that's something that Americans are being really attracted to. Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating for me. So I'm just like, studying the people. How we organize ourselves and stuff like that. I find that fascinating. That's why I'm in this stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, God, I want this thing to be over. I want this thing to be over for like last year. Okay, so let's go over our elections terms and stuff like that. So what are midterm elections?
I need to try to find my note. I'll be back.
No problem. We'll be here.
Oh, it says elections for Congress in the years when the president is not on the ballot. So is it every 4 years, but like opposite? Like,
It's essentially any year that's not the presidential election year.
okay. So less people vote for it, huh? Because people are only concerned with the president, sadly.
Yeah, because a lot of times people only pay attention the year really the year going into the presidential election and the presidential election year. Because then they're like, oh, this is interesting and stuff like that, and it's more publicized, I feel like. And then they don't, whatchamacallit, and then during midterms, they're like, oh, politics really isn't on their radar. It's not something that they're seeing in their everyday lives. And so oftentimes they're just like, oh, election was this like last week? Oops, I missed it. So really, that's why you only get people that are extremely politically active who are participating in these midterm elections. And that's one reason why Republicans tend to do better in midterm elections than Democrats, because they tend to pay attention to politics for longer periods of time at more of a constant basis, compared to Democrats who are more rallied by big issues and current events and stuff like that, rather than being consistent about it. That's why we got Obama in 2008 and everything, and everybody was really Democrats and all, change. And then we have a Republican majority House and Senate, so change can't happen. Because all the people that were supporting Obama during that year, they just supported him during that year. They didn't realize, oh, to help Obama, I need to vote for other Democrats, because that's his support and everything. And I think Republicans have that more in their party narrative of okay, we get the president and we get all of our representatives and everything. And so I think if Democrats want to do better in midterm elections, then they need to kind of amp up the emphasis on that consistency. So what are primary elections?
Elections held to select party candidate for the general election?
Yeah. So, and as we discussed, primaries are, very complicated, and they vary from state to state. And sometimes you have primaries and sometimes you have caucuses, and that really can change things. And so, and then primary elections are only for parties, essentially, because the parties are trying to narrow down their own candidates for the general election. And as you all know, the general election is for everyone. No matter party affiliation or non-affiliation, you can vote. And general election is used to refer both to presidential election year and all that, and as well as midterm elections. So what is a closed primary?
It's a primary election where voters can participate in the nomination of candidates, but only the party which they are enrolled in. So, yeah.
And so what's an open primary then?
That's like if you're like non-party preference, you can vote for like, or third party, you can vote for Republican or Democrat if you want.
Yeah. And so an important difference between the open primary and the blanket primary that we defined earlier is that in the open primary, you choose whose primary you want to vote in, rather than a blanket primary where you're given all the options.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, when you think of open primary, just think of like, oh, here are 3 doors, choose one. And for a blanket primary, just all the doors are open and there's no doors. It's just a hallway. And everybody's in there. Yeah, okay, yeah. No, so this is just a little analogy I'm coming up with right now and stuff like that. So like, if like let's say that we're doing the open primary, like behind this door are the Democratic candidates, close. Behind this door are the Republican candidates, close. And then you go to the blanket primary, and then just like the big open doors, and just here are all of the candidates. So yeah, okay, I like that analogy. That's good. I'll use that.
Yeah, I do like it.
Cool. Okay. So it doesn't just make sense to me. It makes sense to you guys too.
Yeah.
That's always useful. So what is a runoff election?
It says a second round election, which voters choose between the top 2 candidates from the first round. So I don't really get that. What is that? What's considered that?
So first I'm going to explain what a majority system is and a plurality system is, and then we're gonna run back to runoff elections. So what do you guys think a majority system is?
Not sure.
Majority system. It's a type of electoral system where to win a seat in the parliament or other representative body, a candidate must receive the majority of votes cast in the relevant district. And that's kind of what we were talking about, like what they have in Germany and like England, where they don't have to I don't know what I'm trying to say. Isn't it just like the highest amount of, like, whoever has the highest amount of votes wins?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait.
Isn't that plurality?
Plurality, yeah. That's what I was like, So let me draw this real quick. So let's say candidate B got let's just draw some like little boxes right now. Oh, that was a lovely box. Okay, and so this is out of like 100%. And so let's say this person got 66. This person got 50, and then this person got 4, if I'm doing math right. I don't know math. Whatever. Let's pretend that's right. But so out of these people, who wins?
66.
Yeah.
because they have the majority of votes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whatchamacallit, when you have a plurality system, all of the votes end up being like really divided up and stuff like that, and so there's no like clear majority. And so whoever gets the most popularity, essentially, gets it. Let me try to, that's not a good enough explanation right now. So let me check up my definition of these things and make sure that it's matching, because I don't want to give you guys wrong information.
Yeah, you're explaining it a lot better than I was.
Okay. Oh, okay. I now I know how to better draw this. Yeah, okay. So this is a box. This is a box. That's not a box. That's an okay box. And then, okay, so let's say 70 in this box, and then 20 and 20 in these two boxes. So this is the majority system. And so in this case, 70 wins because they have the most support, more than the two other candidates combined. So let's say 20, 25, and 18. So out of these, it's not the person who wins the most, like more than the other two combined. It's just whoever has the most, which is 25 right here.
And we have a majority or plurality, right? Winner takes all? Or no?
We have a majority system. Majority system is the winner takes all. And what we do is we have a single majority, and so whoever gets, that's why we do majority, because we want one winner rather than a chance of it being split. And so whoever has the most altogether, then winner takes it all, like you said.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, and so whatchamacallit, and so let's say if there was two 25s in this plurality system, then these two would have to go off into a runoff election because they've tied. And so they battle out to get one person. And so you see this in other forms of democracy, especially in the French system, when they're actually having their presidential election coming up too. And the way that their presidential election goes is that first they do a really big direct election, and they do that on a plurality system. and then they hold a runoff election for the people who have gained the most votes in altogether. And that differs from ours, where so remember with Trump and everything, when he got the Republican nomination and stuff like that, he got the majority winner takes all because he had more than the other people. And so he took it all and got the nomination. Okay, so let's talk about redistricting. What is redistricting? When does it happen, and why?
It says redrawing election districts and redistributing legislative representatives, and it happens every 10 years, and they do this so that way you can actually, because population shift and population mindset shifts, so they want to have like a correct representation, I suppose, of like, because if you never update it, then it'll just stick, like, even though people migrate and move and stuff gets changed all the time.
Yeah, and so this is done along with the census. It happens every 10 years. And so, as you were saying, population shift. And so a county might not need as many representatives as they're given when compared to 10 years from now. And because of this need for redistricting every 10 years, we have the problem of gerrymandering. Can somebody explain what gerrymandering is?
It's the apportionment of voters in districts to give in such way to give an unfair advantage to one political party or another.
Yeah, and so let me get that mouse. So what that looks like is this little infographic right here. So you have 50 people, 60% blue, 40% red. Now, for a perfect way to redistrict it would be to do 3 blue districts and 2 red districts.
Mm-hmm.
And then blue wins because 60%. A compact but unfair way to do it would be to do 5 districts and then all are blue because the way that it's distributed unevenly. And so it gives blue the advantage over the red and gives them more representation. What's neither compact nor fair is what we have in the third example, where it's all over the place. And it's just whatever to get what results that they want. Because the people that are doing this are shaping these districts in a way to benefit their party and people running for those elections. Because if you redistrict an area in a certain way, you can make it so that you make sure that your party will win because of the people that are registered in a certain area or not. So
is gerrymandering, it's illegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it, yeah. So what, like, do you know how, like, when it became illegal?
No, but we can look that up.
Oh, okay. Because I remember, like, talking about it in my American government class, like, last year. And, like, I still thought it was legal, but I was like, that wouldn't be very fair, so, but, yeah.
Let's see this. Actually, I might be wrong. Okay. Currently, political gerrymandering is legal. Never mind, I was wrong. So it is legal for them to do this.
Okay.
Let's see if racial gerrymandering is though. Yeah, okay. So you can do it by party affiliation, but you can't do it by race.
Okay.
So you can't just like, you know how like LA has like little like towns and stuff like that of so you couldn't just quarter off Chinatown and be like, well, you guys are a district and we're gonna have our own district and stuff like that, even though we're right next to you.
Yeah.
But it's because of their race. And so, yeah, okay, yeah. So political gerrymandering, that's interesting. But that is also because there is a debate on if it really does affect elections or not. And I'm pretty sure one of the online articles talks about that. And so you guys can learn about that little debate yourselves. But so you guys feel confident with gerrymandering? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what is a campaign?
It's an effort by a political candidate and their supporters to win the backing of donors, political activists, and voters in their quest for presidential office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just what you do to try to get the public position.
Yep.
And then real quick, I just realized that we were 7 minutes over time. That's why Angelina just left. She has to go to church. But what's an incumbent?
It's a candidate running for re-election to a position that he or she already holds.
Yeah, and incumbents are more likely to regain their position that they already hold than the new people coming in.
Yep.
Do you guys have any other last questions that I can answer, or are you good?
I think I'm good.
All right. I will end the meeting then. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Okay, bye.